I'm Adam White with Front Office Sports, and I'm joined by Jim Andrews, someone who deals in the sponsorship space and has done so for quite some time. Can you just talk about the state of the sponsorship industry, where we are, and where we're kind of headed on the brands and both properties?
Yeah, sure. It's an exciting time to be in our business. There are a lot of changes happening, a lot of them driven by technology, of course, but I think there's a real interesting dynamic happening right now because we get very excited about some of the tools that we can use to activate sponsorships, and we talk about things like augmented reality and artificial intelligence. But at the same time, I think there's a realization that there are some kind of core fundamentals that run through all types of partnerships. Again, whether on the brand side or the property side, that we kind of have to make sure that we don't forget about those, that we are doing the kinds of things in terms of putting together the right packages of opportunities for brands, and really making sure that as a property, if you're approaching brands, that you understand their businesses and going to them with solutions and not just an inventory of benefits. And then on the measurement side too, I think everybody is still figuring that piece out, and I think we had some great presentations this week. Of course, Nick Kelly from Anheuser-Busch, Pat LaCroix from Bose. These are companies that are really getting that and showing the rest of us how that can be done, and all of the different tools that they're using to say, hey, we're making these pretty significant investments across all of these types of opportunities, and now we're really going to put the science behind it to say, is it worth it? Are we getting our money's worth?
Yeah, absolutely. Now, one of those big areas that a lot of these sponsors are looking for is the digital assets. I believe you mentioned, or it was another person that mentioned, maybe Bill Chips, that digital assets have now overtaken in-arena signage as the number 2 thing that brand partners are looking for. Can you just talk about what you see that growth in being, and whether it's digital assets in the arena, digital assets on social, and how brands and properties are preparing for something?
Yeah, I mean, it really opens up a lot, and when you get into that digital content area, particularly for rights holders, because it really does 2 things. Number one, it's your own marketing. I mean, the way to increase your audiences and reach new people now, it's video. I mean, that's you see it, we all see that, and I think the smart properties are kind of taking advantage of that and saying, okay, everybody knows they want to do it, but you've got to be strategic about it. We had a presentation this week from the National Baseball Hall of Fame, Jeff Idelson, their president, and they've got a video strategy that's very smart. And it's, they spent a lot of time putting it together before they just started, getting cameras and shooting stuff. They knew exactly what they wanted to do, and they're doing some pretty amazing things. So they're increasing the reach, in that case, for that property, but then also you can take it to the next level and monetize that. Bring in the partners because they want that same audience, these bigger audiences. So it's really a win-win situation. It's kind of monetizable marketing, if you will.
Yeah, and as we go forward in the next few years, 3, 4, 5 years down the road, what are some of the biggest challenges? I know a lot of it comes down to measurement, a lot of it comes down to how are we really quantifying this ROI. If we're spending this money X, is it really driving that we want to see? Because for quite some time, and as you probably know, a lot of this stuff has been, okay, this is kind of our guesstimate of what this number is, and this is kind of like we expect it to do this. I think NASCAR came out a thing, Monster paid them $20 million this past year, and Monster got $500 million in TV value. So why is Monster only doing it for another year or something like that? There's all these questions. I think measurement as a whole is, I think, going to be one of the big trends as we look forward, and maybe a few other things.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's all a matter of what kind of investment can you make in terms of when you get into a partnership like this, understanding that there's the investment that you're going to have in the rights fee, but then there's also an investment in the activation spend, and then there should be an investment in measurement, and sometimes, I mean, the folks who are the day-to-day sponsorship folks understand that. But you also have to deal with your executives and your financial folks, and they may not get that whole picture, so you may not be able to build the kind of budgets that you really need, and that's unfortunate because at some point then they're going to come back to you and say, well, tell us if this is working, and you have to go back to them and say, well, if you'd given me the budget to do measurement, I could tell you, but you didn't. So that's always a challenge, is making sure that the whole enterprise understands what sponsorship is, what it can achieve. So I think we all have to kind of be evangelists within organizations to say, hey, this isn't just about a suite at the stadium and a bunch of tickets and a bunch of signs. There's so much more to this, and really educating people about it.
Oh, I'm bundled. I got my like 2 jackets on.